We're here to have fun and play. We're here to sing and pray. We're here to lift our voice and say, oh, God is here with you today. God is here. Hip, hip, hooray. God is here, and He's here to stay. Oh, Crossing Kids!
He's here, the Nativity from Luke 1 and 2. Everything was ready. The moment God had been waiting for was here at last. God was coming to help His people, just as He promised in the beginning. But how would He come? What would He be like? What would He do? Mountains would have bowed down. Seas would have roared. Trees would have clapped their hands. But the earth held its breath. As silent as snow falling, He came in. And when no one was looking, in the darkness, He came. There was a young girl who was engaged to a man named Joseph. Joseph was the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of King David. One morning, this girl was minding her own business when suddenly a great warrior of light appeared right there in her bedroom. He was Gabriel, and he was an angel, a special messenger from heaven. When she saw the tall, shining man standing there, Mary was frightened. "You don't need to be scared," Gabriel said. "God is very happy with you." Mary looked around to see if perhaps he was talking to someone else. "Mary," Gabriel said, and he laughed with such gladness that Mary's eyes filled with sudden tears. "Mary, you're going to have a baby, a little boy. You will call him Jesus. He is God's own son. He's the one. He's the rescuer. The God who flung planets into space and kept them whirling around and around. The God who made the universe with just a word, the one who could do anything at all, was making Himself small and coming down as a baby." Wait, God was sending a baby to rescue the world? "But it's too wonderful," Mary said, and felt her heart beating hard. "How can it be true? Is anything too wonderful for God?" Gabriel asked. So Mary trusted God more than what her eyes could see, and she believed. "I am God's servant," she said. "Whatever God says, I will do." Sure enough, it was just as the angel had said. 9 months later, Mary was almost ready to have her baby. Now, Mary and Joseph had to take a trip to Bethlehem, the town King David was from. But when they reached the little town, they found every room was full. Every bed was taken. "Go away," the innkeepers told them. "There isn't any place for you." Where would they stay? Soon Mary's baby would come. They couldn't find anywhere except an old tumble-down stable. So they stayed where the cows and the donkeys and the horses stayed. In there, in the stable, amongst the chickens and the donkeys and the cows, in the quiet of the night, God gave the world His wonderful gift. The baby that would change the world was born, His baby son. Mary and Joseph wrapped Him to keep Him warm. They made a soft bed of straw and used the animal's feeding trough as His cradle. And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift, wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. Mary and Joseph named Him Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us, because, of course, He had.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till He appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices on night divine.
Hey guys, welcome to the Big Picture Bible Story with... Hey, it's me, Emily. I was just pretending. Let me reveal my true self to you. I'll put on my other costume here. Okay. Now I'm back. In today's Bible story, we're going to see how Jesus took some of his disciples up a mountain to reveal his true self. Now, when I just walked in, I looked different, but you really knew who it was, right? In a similar way, the disciples knew that Jesus was God. But Jesus wanted to take it a step further and to show them his true glory. Let's watch the Bible video now.
One day, Jesus led 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, up on a high mountain to pray. The disciples fell fast asleep. As Jesus prayed, his appearance suddenly changed. His face was shining like the sun, and his clothes were as white as the light. The disciples woke up and saw Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you want, I will set up 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While Peter was still speaking, a bright cloud suddenly covered them. A voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." The disciples heard this and fell face down. They were terrified. Jesus came up and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." When the disciples looked up, they did not see Moses or Elijah anymore. They only saw Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus said to them, "Don't tell anyone what you saw until the Son of Man is raised from the dead." The disciples did not tell anyone, but they wondered what Jesus meant. They asked him, "Why do the scribes say that Elijah must come before the Messiah comes?" Jesus explained that Elijah had already come. That is, a prophet like Elijah had come. The people did not recognize him as a prophet and they mistreated him. Jesus said, "In the same way, the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands." Then the disciples realized Jesus was talking about John the Baptist. Jesus showed his glory to Peter, James, and John. Jesus said he would die, rise from the dead, and return to heaven. One day, Jesus will come back to earth in his glory to make all things new.
Jesus showed his glory to Peter, James, and John. Mark wrote that Jesus' clothing was whiter than any person could get them, no matter how he or she washed them. Matthew explained that Jesus' face shone like the sun. It would have been an incredible sight. Jesus' glory is bright and intense, but it's more than just a light. Jesus' glory is sort of like a combination of many different wonderful things about him. His glory is the intensity of his goodness. It is the depth of his love. It is the fullness of his holiness. It is the height of his fame. It is the length of his endlessness. It is also the majesty of his power. Jesus is the greatest treasure in the world. Jesus is more than a good man or a wise teacher. He is God the Son. The Bible tells us he is the image of the invisible God. He is the King of all kings. All things were created by him and for him. Without him, all of creation could no longer exist. When Peter, James, and John saw Jesus in his glory, they saw who Jesus really is more clearly than they ever had before. Jesus showed his glory to Peter, James, and John. Jesus said he would die, rise from the dead, and return to heaven. One day, Jesus will come back to earth in his glory to make all things new. This story tells us of the first time Jesus revealed his glory to humans, but it will not be the last time humans see Jesus in glory. When Jesus returns to earth wearing bright white clothing and shining brighter than the sun, he will destroy all evil and fix everything wrong in this world. Everyone who has faith in Jesus will receive new, glorified bodies to live forever with God.